Hello YouTube, how's it going? Welcome to my channel, Dastardly Batman. Today I'm going to be reviewing Until Dawn. But before we do that, I do want to say apologies for not getting around to recording Minecraft or Sinners. I will actually probably record Sinners when it comes out on 4K Blu-ray, just because I want to watch it a third time so I can talk about it a little bit more. I've been reading a lot about it. It's one of those movies I like learning a lot about because it's so good. But we're not talking about Sinners today. We're going to talk about Until Dawn. And we'll do that right after I show you guys a clip from the trailer.
I'm looking for my sister.
She's gone missing.
Weird. That's my sister's signature.
We're here again.
So the night is just gonna repeat itself. Every night, something new is trying to kill us.
What is that?
Nobody's made it past 13 nights.
If we want to survive, we have to make it until dawn.
Let's get it now.
I'm just gonna grab it. Don't move.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a look at Until Dawn. Let me take my headphones off. So let's start with what I liked about this film. First off, the special effects. I think this film is properly goopy. It's a hard R, lots of cool stuff going on. There's exploding bodies, which was probably the best part of the film. And the practical effects here, as you can see from the trailer, are, I think, really top-notch. They did a really good job with that, and you can actually watch on the director's, David F. Sandberg. He has a YouTube channel. You can actually go to his YouTube channel, Pony Smasher, and you can see a quick behind-the-scenes look at how he did some of that. He says he's going to go further into behind-the-scenes stuff once the film is, been out for a little bit, which I actually am looking forward to. The other thing that I really liked in this film was Peter Stormare, but I'm going to put an asterisk next to that. I always like Peter Stormare, been a big fan of his for a while, one of the best character actors we got. He's a really cool dude, and he was, of course, in the video game. The other thing I liked was that this film, it's paced really well. I'm not gonna lie, I sat down, the lights went dark, and the movie was over in like an instant. I was kind of surprised by that. It's like 100 and something minutes, but it's paced really well, I think. Felt like I was only in there for like 30 minutes, which is a good thing, because now we're gonna get into what I didn't like. Pretty much everything else. This is not a good movie. It's extremely bad, especially if you've played the video game. It's extremely bad. We'll get into that in a second. But the first thing that we're going to go into is the actors here. So this has a much smaller cast. It's only like 5 main characters. The game had, I think, 7 or 8. I don't know. It's been a little bit since I played it. But this, they're all pretty bland and boring, and they don't have any personality outside of like their look. It's not like in the video game where like each character felt very distinct and had their own personality and stuff. This is really bland, and because of that, the actors in this seem pretty bored, with the exception of when they're being attacked by stuff. They do a pretty good job selling that sort of thing, as you could see from the trailer and everything. But whenever they're delivering dialogue, or, doing anything else besides getting murdered, they just seem like they're just like, all right, well, here we go. We clocked in, and we're getting our paycheck. And that makes for not a good movie. And speaking of boring, this movie's boring. And I think maybe I'm going to get into this for a second. I know I just said that it's paced really well, and it felt like 30 minutes. I'm going to be real with you. I think I might have zoned out during this movie. And we'll get further into that when I get to my next point, but you ever go on a drive and you park, and then all of a sudden you snap back into reality and you're like, wait a minute, how did I get here? Right? Like that kind of feeling, because you just zone out while you're driving or whatever. Your brain just switches off or whatever. It's kind of scary whenever that happens. Scarier than anything in this movie, funny enough. But I think that might have happened to me in this movie, because at a certain point, the movie just stopped making sense. And now I'm going to be honest with you, whenever I watch a film, I don't really need it to make sense. There's a good David Lynch quote about that, about how life doesn't make sense, so why should you expect movies to make sense? That guy, real genius. I'm going to miss David Lynch so much. But anyway, this movie, at a certain point, you're just like, oh, I kind of know what's going on. There's like a loop thing going on where they got to survive different horror scenarios. And you think at first that the film's hinting towards like how that is possible. But then I feel like they sort of reveal why it's possible, but I don't think it makes any sense. Maybe I missed something. Maybe when I like zoned out and was just like, I guess, absorbing the sounds and the imagery, I just, totally missed it. I will probably end up rewatching this when it's on Netflix and see if I can kind of make sense of it. But there's a certain point when I'm just like, I don't really get how this works. Especially because this has nothing to do with the game, which we'll get into in a second. But I think that leads into my next point pretty well, which is that the script for this movie is freaking awful. It has a pretty standard setup. So the setup is that the main character's mother, she's passed away, and her sister's like, I'm getting the heck out of this town. I don't want to be stuck here the rest of my life. I'm going to leave. And she's like, I'm going to go off to New York or whatever. Sister's like, okay, no problem. But while she's on the way to New York, her sister disappears. The main character is like, well, I'm going to go see if I can figure out what happened to my sister. We're going to retrace her steps, and I'm bringing my friends along. That's a pretty, honestly, solid setup, okay? But outside of that, it's really bad the way it delivers, like, the exposition of what's going on in the film, along with, like, just how the characters talk to each other and interact. It's all really generic and really, really bland. And there's even moments when, like, things that are killing them will just, like, start explaining, like, you can't survive if you sit still or whatever. And I'm like, why would you say that to them? You know what I mean? Like, do you want them to win? I don't really understand what's going on here. Honestly, this is a little side point here. But stop hiring Gary Dauberman. I'm going to be real with you. He's had a couple films that are, like, I think that he's written that I think are pretty solid. But I'm realizing now that and I liked the two It films. I liked Annabelle Creation. I think that was directed by David F. Sandberg as well. I'm going to be real with you. Every movie that I've watched, that like every horror film that I've watched that I'm like, this is like terrible and boring, or it's like a missed opportunity. Not like it's almost like 4 times out of 5 it says screenplay by Gary Dauberman. Now sometimes he's a co-writer, but in this he wrote the script with someone else. I think he's the common denominator here. This guy sucks. And he ruined Salem's Lot. He messed this up. I don't get why he keeps getting work. It must be because he's really nice and he's really good in a pitch room or something. Probably knows some high up people, especially in the horror community. But I don't like this guy's writing. I'm just going to be real with you. I don't like his directing either. He's made a couple films as well. He made one of the Annabelle films and he directed Salem's Lot himself. And both those movies suck. And even if Salem's Lot didn't have the production issues that it had, which it was very obvious when you were watching the movie, it's pretty clear that a lot of it got left on the cutting room floor. But even if that stuff didn't get left on the cutting room floor, that movie would still be really bad. And this film also, I forgot to put this in my notes, but I want to talking about Salem's Lot reminded me. This film also has a really slick, like sleek, glossy digital look that I don't really like in the majority of horror films. There's been a few times when I actually am like, I think it works. Actually, a film earlier this year, Ash, I thought had like a pretty solid look, but the lighting and everything was so good, and it's a sci-fi aesthetic, so that glossy, clean digital sheen I think works pretty well. And I'm not like against shooting on digital. I think like, the Dune films look great. The Batman looks amazing. Collateral all the way back in 2004 looks great. I think shooting on digital is fine. I don't have an issue with it. But I don't like the super glossy, like pristine, 8K quality, I can see every pore on everyone's face and all that junk. I just don't like that, especially for horror. I think it's a big mistake whenever someone makes a horror film and everything is like crystal clear. There's times when I think that's a good tool to use, but overall I like a little bit of grit and grime in my horror films because it's a horror film, and this movie's got none of that except for when there's like some gore, but even that's too clear. I also gotta say, this movie's got one good gimmick, which is exploding bodies. There's a really good sequence where they first do that, and I was like, oh, this is great. And for a second I was like, oh, this movie's about to really pick up, because it was a little earlier on than I expected, and I was like, oh, I get it now. This is gonna be really dope. And unfortunately, I think the filmmakers knew that that was the only good thing they had, because then they repeat that 3 or 4 times afterwards, and you're just like, well, now it doesn't really fit. And you're just doing it because it was a good sequence previously, but you have nothing else to offer. Other than those exploding bodies, none of the kills are really good or creative or anything. which, considering this is a movie where they're in a loop where they just basically get killed over and over, you would think it would have better kills. It's really frustrating. I really don't know what happened here. I'm gonna say it's Gary Dauberman's fault, and also the fault of the studio for being like, yeah, let's make an Until Dawn movie that has nothing to do with Until Dawn. I think that's goofy. My next point, we're going back to the Peter Stormare thing with an asterisk. Peter Stormare really doesn't have anything to do in this film. Now, he does have a larger role than just the gas station attendant in this, which I didn't expect, actually. I thought he was just going to be like a quick cameo, but his role is a little bigger than that. He's got a few things to do, but to be honest with you, he can play this role in his sleep. He's only really there because he's in the video game, and because of that, I feel like his inclusion in the film kind of leads more to the movie not making any sense. There was something that I thought that they were setting up and gonna reveal that would have led to the movie making more sense, but then it's like they set that up and then they're like, actually though, that's not really what's going on. It's more complicated than that. And I'm like, why are you making this movie so complicated? That's the other thing. They keep making this movie so complicated. And the main offense with this movie is that it has nothing to do with the game, at all. We'll get into, I'm gonna drop some spoilers after I give my rating, and we'll talk about that a little bit, because there is some stuff to do with the game, but it's like haphazard and lazy. Literally, it's like the most 90s, like how they used to adapt video games back in the 90s, with the exception of Mortal Kombat. It's a lot like that, where this is honestly, like, in my opinion, it's not as entertaining. It's nowhere near as entertaining as this movie, because I actually enjoy watching this film. But it reminds me of the original Super Mario Brothers movie. It's as big as of a fumble as that, and it's as baffling as that. You're like, why is this like this? Speaking of having nothing to do with the game, it feels smaller in scale and scope than the video game. The video game, it feels like a bit like this film is trying to be a celebration of horror, right? Because in a lot of ways, at the end of the day, that is kind of what Until Dawn is. It's a big celebration of horror. It incorporates all these different horror tropes into one giant, cool horror story that you can interact with and make decisions and stuff. That's why everyone likes the game so much. I've played it twice. I'm actually planning to play another playthrough of the remastered version sometime this year, probably like in December or something. But anyway, it's a really fun game, mainly because I think the writing is good, the characters are cool, and it's got good vibes and aesthetic, and it feels very much like a celebration of horror, like I said. This movie's trying to do that, but it's haphazard and lazy, and it honestly just, it's like, it's trying to be like a celebration of horror, but then it fumbles every single thing that it possibly can. Like that trailer, when I saw it, I was like, oh, there's some stuff in here that I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty neat. And all that stuff is like pretty much blink and you miss it stuff. Like, you're like, okay, well, why even like tease me with this if like you're not going to do anything with it? It's like that Chekhov's gun thing of like, don't show me the gun if it's not going to be used later on, It's very silly. So this is not a good movie. It's probably going to end up on my worst of the year list for sure. It's 1.5 stars out of 5. Not good at all. I don't recommend you go see it. I recommend you watch anything else in theaters. Go see Sinners again. Heck, I didn't like Minecraft very much either, but go watch Minecraft again. Or watch one of the new films that's out this weekend. I'm going to go see all of them. Revenge of the Sith is back out. The Accountant 2 is back out, and also a smaller film, The Legend of Oishi, or however you say that, is out. I'm going to be reviewing all that stuff. I highly recommend just watch anything else. There's also Gareth Edwards has a new film on Netflix starring Tom Hardy that I'm going to watch and review as well. Lots of stuff coming up, but watch literally anything else besides this, or play the video game. I said I'm going to get into spoilers. Just some slight spoilers here for how it ties into the video game, and I'll put a big banner here so you guys know. We got spoilers coming up, so if you don't want spoilers, just go ahead and hit that like button and click off, or come back after you've seen the film, okay, if you care. So this movie tries to do a thing where, like, Peter Stormare, it's revealed that he's playing the same character from the video game, okay, which I don't think makes any sense at all. And they do this weird thing where, like, they set up that maybe this is like a prequel to the video game. And I'm just like, and also this movie has like Wendigos in it and stuff, and they look terrible, and they act more like zombies in this movie, funny enough. And there's all this like weird stuff going on with like, I don't understand how the supernatural elements in this movie work. I'm just gonna be honest with you, and I don't really need that with horror, but it's not like an intriguing mystery, right? Where like when you watch like something like It, you're like, oh, what's Pennywise? The way he works isn't like fully explained, but you don't really necessarily care because like that kind of makes it more scary. It's not like that, you know? Which I know in the book they get more into and stuff, but that's not what I'm trying to say here. I'm just saying like there's times when like there's unresolved mysteries in a film that makes it more spooky or creepy or something. That's not how this is at all. It just feels like lazy writing. I don't even understand why they tried to have anything related to the game. This should just be an original horror film instead of having the baggage of Until Dawn attached. But I gotta say, even if this was an original horror film, it still wouldn't be any good. You'd still watch it and be like, I don't understand what's going on. So, you know, I don't get this. And at the end of the day, I gotta say, I really hope David F. Sandberg can bounce back from this. Because Shazam 2 flopped. I actually kind of like that movie. I think it's okay for the most part. How that movie turned out isn't really his fault. This movie, on the other hand, I think he has a lot more creative control. He's a producer on this, along with his wife. You know, he seemed pretty excited about this. He's like, oh yeah, I finally get to make a rated R horror film, and I get to do like lots of cool practical effects and stuff like that. And that stuff is cool when you can see it, because this film's really dark as well. There's times when you can see the practical effects really well, and there's times when I'm like, dude, boost the lighting up, please. I can't see what's going on. Anyway, I really hope he can bounce back from this, because I do think he's a good filmmaker, and it sucks whenever you watch a movie from a filmmaker who you know is good and can do better, and you've seen do better previously, and then you're like, this is a big just dumpster fire. I don't like it when that happens. I don't like it when I watch... I mean, I'll be fair. I do like watching bad movies, but not this kind of bad where you're just like, this is boring and uninteresting. That's my review for Until Dawn. Hope you enjoyed the video. I am getting back into the swing of things, going to be reviewing stuff. I'm still moving things around in my house. I'm going to be in a totally different room, hopefully soon, either next week or the week after. It's going to happen at some point, hopefully before Doom the Dark Ages comes out. But anyway, guys... that's my review. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, ding the notification bell, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.